Flashback time. The title of the album that we're going to be reviewing today that you probably see up there somewhere is actually the title of an album by another band. What was it? I'll give you a couple seconds. Uh-oh, you're out of time. Yeah, I'm giving you the opportunity not to Google, because the band was Flotsam and Jetsam. And Unnatural Selection now, in 2013, is the title of the album, the new album, by Havok that we're going to be talking about today. Now, throughout the course of their short career, Havok have definitely made a name for themselves, and they've done so with just thrash metal brutality that almost borders on just insane punk overtones, which is, well, really one of the foundations of the thrash genre. They definitely have taken their cue from the 1980s style of thrash. They loved bands such as Metallica, Megadeth, and Slayer whenever they were getting together. They've played with individuals such as Testament, and they've replaced Overkill on a tour. So, yeah, Havok is doing their best to basically, come on in and enjoy themselves at the thrash household. And have they been doing so and really respecting its name? Well, actually, yeah, you better believe it. These guys are definitely high up on the market of the new wave of American thrash metal, and they are definitely a good one to boot. This is definitely an album that is very charged by what's going on in our world today. A lot of you guys that are maybe new to the channel don't know that I do a segment called a Thought Buffet, but for those who do, you know that I ask a lot of the tough questions or really think some really weird, strange, or sometimes downright controversial thoughts whenever it comes to things. Well, Havok is able to basically do so in song. Not to mention they're able to do it about things that are very simple, about the fact that America is really... America has really changed. I wish I could make that an outtake, but I'm not, because that was just priceless. However, think about it whenever you think of I Am the States, Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death, Under the Gun. Songs such as this variety, where they really seem to focus a lot on America and a lot of the things that have really become destroyed in American society. And it's not necessarily just the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that is given to us, or supposedly given to us by the Constitution. It's instead in the fact that people have become extremely closed-minded. These guys are very aware, and their lyrics certainly show it and prove it, which is, once again, another staple of thrash metal. While thrash metal did have the idea of just thrashing your ass off, there was also a lot of charge, oftentimes, to the political realm, and political statements were oftentimes made. Havok, though, really went overboard with it this time, and that's something that really proves just how much of a wake-up call America truly needs whenever a band such as Havok takes the time. Now, they also do a Children of the Grave, a Black Sabbath cover of Children of the Grave, which is very well done. This is one of those things where if you're just listening in a pair of headphones and not really paying attention, you're going to hear something that sounds really familiar. You're going to think to yourself, wow, Havok's really starting to sound a lot like Black Sabbath on this. Well, there you go. That's why. They are covering a Black Sabbath song. And really, throughout the entire course of this, they are taking this idea and this really just punk-infused fury of thrash metal just to an absolute fantastic extreme. And the riffing is fantastic, the soloing is frantic, the pace is just absolutely out of control, and they're able to do this and also at certain points in time kind of slow things up a little bit and, kind of give it a little bit of dynamisy, gives it a little bit of feeling, a little bit of enhancement. They really are able to place certain emphasis on parts and kind of be a little bit of a cool down, but that's principally so they can show a little bit of prowess, either that or to set you up for the next barrage that is about to come. Now, this is one that really is also trying to showcase the idea of open-mindedness, as I mentioned earlier. There were some very poignant lyrics in here, and that's the one thing I really have to praise about this album, is that while some locations of this, some people may say that the lyrics sound a little bit dated, tired, or said before, we're once again in history at another one of those moments where these are things that really needed to be said. These are things that really need to be kind of proclaimed, because they are elements of our culture, elements of our humanity that are once again at risk and once again are being threatened by the way in which people are acting, the way in which the government or other higher-ups have kind of been treating. Basically, the whole separation of who's at the top, who makes and calls the shots, and those who are forced to really be the ones who deal with the aftermath and things of that variety. I mean, this is definitely a very poignant album. This is definitely one that is telling the world that we are in a society that is in serious need of an overhaul, and true patriots should actually instead rise as one and try to take the country back, as opposed to blindly supporting. definitely a great album with a message that is extremely relevant. Now, musically, this is definitely one that is sonically out of control, and that is a positive in Havok's bag of tricks. It's definitely a element of thrash metal that needs to consistently always be there. Now, obviously in thrash metal there's a lot of varied pace, especially whenever it comes to classics. We think of bands such as Overkill and Exodus, we think of Testament, we think of the Teutonic thrash titans such as Creator and Destruction, where they're able to really create this melee and this onslaught, both on songs that are a little bit slower paced and songs that are aggressive and frantic. Now with Havok, that is something that happens only in sparse occasions, where you're going to see the differentiation between frantic and kind of slow and, poignant. But this is one where you almost need to have an album that has this sort of aggression. This is almost like a Slayer style of aggression from the early part of the 1980s, with albums such as Haunting the Chapel and Show No Mercy and Rain and Blood. Definitely taking a huge cue from albums such as that, only with, of course, more of a political outcry overtone. And it definitely really suits this band, and it actually creates an album that is well worthy of thrash royalty. And they're definitely a band that, as their careers progress, are going to actually have that moment where they're going to be whispered amongst the greats, only they're going to be whispered in a generation gap, so to speak. And that's what's going to happen. Havok is still early enough in their career that they can kind of do this kind of consistent thing where they don't necessarily change everything up all of that much, but instead they just add a lot more fury. They add a lot more in the way of drive toward one particular, platform. They're able to sonically kind of experiment with, a couple tweaks in the system. And that's what's going to happen with that is that as their career progresses, they're going to experiment even further with the songwriting, and all the things that perhaps you could complain about on an album like this or on their two previous ones, which were highly regarded, so you're not going to find much, are going to kind of be solved. Almost like the puzzle is going to fully come into place, and you're going to have that great Havok thrash metal album that really just combines all of the philosophies that individuals who like this subgenre of metal really crave and adore. And it's going to all be delivered to them in one album. I think that Havok has the talent and the ability to really deliver that. And they're still very young. You can tell both by the tones of their voices and also in the fact that they are just still, absolutely obsessed with this fury and this pace. And they have a lot of this energy and this just, snarl to them that just breathes that, with a little bit more experience, a couple more years underneath their belt, man, are they going to become really hard to stop. I really like this album. I think that this album's message is certainly one that many generations of metal fans are going to hear and are going to really agree with and be receptive of, because it is something that is our reality. And I think that those that don't accept it are going to eventually become privy to this philosophy and really understand that maybe there's a little bit of brainwashing that occurs within each and every one of us that causes us to kind of blindly follow, when instead we should be leading the new tomorrow and really asking and demanding that things change. Really like that aspect of this album. I really like the album as a whole. I really have to give this an 8.5 out of 10. Very strong. This is one that could threaten lists. This is blah all that stuff, yeah. This is definitely a thrash metal to be reckoned with, and thrash's impressive streak, I don't think this is mentioned enough. I really don't. I think it's kind of overlooked by the fact that a lot of the bands that are doing this are just, they're old legends that just seem to never fail, but thrash has been on a roll lately. They really have. The thrash revival is probably one of the best stories that metal has to offer over the past 5 to 10 years. The thrash revival has been exceptionally poignant and principally important, and one of the, primary reasons why we're seeing this, terrific new breed of thrash metal talent. Bravo to the guys. Havok, you're going to be whispered amongst the greats, as your career progresses. Keep doing what you're doing. And as for you guys in the nation, I will see you guys next time.